I might just broaden the lens of our discussion to include an international outlook and possibly pop to you, Erin, just to talk, obviously for families who are international and planning relocation to the States or to the New York area, the effect has been even more profound as they try and plan. I wondered if you could talk a little bit about what makes this year different for you and the team at Bennett International as you help support families.
Of course, sure. So yes, obviously this year has been drastically different since March. And the thing that's a little bit different about Bennett is that we work with families throughout the calendar year. You know, relocations don't necessarily adhere to the school calendar or the admissions calendar. And so that adds another level of uncertainty for families. But one of the positives this year, I think, is that families who've learned they're relocating in May and need to find a school for September, there has been a little more space and a little more flexibility for those families because schools are a bit more unsure of what their numbers will look like. Not every school, but many schools. So it's a little bit less stressful for families because whereas in a typical year there might be 1 or 2 options, this year there might be 3 or 4. And also an international family, although there's nothing is better than walking into a school and seeing the classroom and the activity, but that's also another stressor for international families to plan the trip from Singapore or from London, find a hotel, schedule all the visits, schedule the testing, you know, and you've got a 4-year-old and an 8-year-old. They're exhausted by the time they're at their last school. You know, they can't remember their home address. So that has been eliminated. They can do that, as Gina was saying, from the comfort of their home. It kind of levels the playing field. You know, they aren't dealing with jet lag, anxiety about being in a strange place. So in that way, it's looked different. And also, you know, we're trying to answer questions about what school will look like in the fall, trying to be as reassuring as possible. And to echo what Gina said, you know, reassuring families that schools are certainly doing everything they possibly can and have been since March. So school will open in September. We can't exactly say what it will look like, but it will. So I hope that answers your question.
That's great. And I guess sort of going on from that, you know, how is Bennett International able to help families if they might be in that sort of situation? I mean, I know from my own dealings with you and the expertise that your company has, that you've got sort of a real global reach. So can you talk about the ways that even with the uncertainty that Bennett is able to help and support and I guess make those connections and keep the information flowing?
Yeah, I think that is sort of essentially the same as it's always been with our company. We have a number of consultants in New York, in the New York City general area, who are in touch with admission officers on a regular basis. And I think that's the real advantage to a family who uses Bennett as part of their relocation plan or uses us privately, that our consultants can kind of get an assessment of what their child's like, what sort of learning style the family values, what type of community the family values, and then go to their contacts at schools that could potentially be a good fit. And the consultant can come back to the family and say, great, I've got 5 schools that have what you want, you know, single sex, non-religious, whatever it may be, progressive, that do have space in 5th and 8th grade. So let's go ahead and start those applications. You know, we can do that legwork when school's virtual, when admissions offices are virtual, and we can do it when school's in session. And I think it takes, again, another sort of level of stress, a level of planning off of the family's shoulders.
Yeah, I think that's very interesting. And for those of us, including sort of our school, which serves international families anyway, some of this has almost been a refinement of some of those best practices. And how do you help serve, to your point, Gina, families who can't be there in person? How do we level that playing field? And how do we, as you were saying, Erin, try and actually use this as a kind of opportunity to make things change? Maybe the new normal continues in some of these veins.